Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's Voice to the World. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. White House issues clarification to its new H-1B visa policy. Says new fee applicable for fresh applications, not for existing holders. US President Trump issues stern warning to Afghanistan, says bad things going to happen if Bagram Air Base not returned. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to visit US on September 22nd to take forward trade deal talks. And in Asia Cup, an unstoppable India all set to take on Pakistan in Super Force clash at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Sunday. Amid the confusion and panic caused by the new proclamation for H-1B visa, the White House has issued an official clarification on Saturday. In a social media post, White House press secretary clarified that $100,000 fee will be a one-time payment imposed only on new applicants. She further wrote, those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. H-1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to same extent as they normally would. Whatever ability they have to do, that is not impacted by Friday's proclamation. White House press secretary also stated that the new rule applies only to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. She said it will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle. The executive order, which is likely to face legal challenges, comes into force Sunday at 12:01 a.m. US Eastern Time. That's 4:01 GMT. And India's Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that this measure is likely to have humanitarian consequences by way of disruption caused for families. The official spokesperson in a statement said that the government has seen reports related to the proposed restrictions on the US H-1B visa program. The full implications of the measure are being studied by all concerned, including by Indian industry, which has already put out an initial analysis clarifying some perceptions related to H-1B program. Industry in both India and the US has a stake in innovation and creativity and can be expected to consult on the best path forward. Skilled talent mobility and exchanges have contributed enormously to technology development, innovation, economic growth, competitiveness and wealth creation in the United States and India. Policymakers will therefore assess recent steps taking into account mutual benefits, which include strong people-to-people ties between the two countries. This measure is likely to have humanitarian consequences by way of disruption caused for families. Government hopes that these disruptions can be addressed suitably by the US authorities. US President Donald Trump threatened Afghanistan if it does not give back control of the Bagram Air Base to the United States. Trump, in a social media post, demanded that Afghanistan return control of Bagram Air Base to Washington, warning that Taliban government that bad things are going to happen if they did not comply with his demand.
We won't talk about that, but we're talking now to Afghanistan, and we want it back, and we want it back soon, right away. And if they don't do it, you're going to find out what I'm going to do.
Trump has repeatedly indicated that he would have kept control of airbase given its strategic importance near the border between Afghanistan and China. A few days ago, during his visit to London, Trump stated that the US is trying to regain control of the airbase used by American forces following the attacks of September 11, 2001. He told reporters that he was speaking with Afghanistan about it. Bagram Air Base is currently under the control of the Taliban government after US troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021. US President Donald Trump warned the Venezuelan government that it must accept the return of all prisoners whom he said Venezuela had forced into the US. Trump issued the threat in a post on his Truth Social platform. He did not elaborate on which prisoners he was referring to, except to say that some were people from mental institutions. He also did not specify what action he might take. Venezuela on Friday accused the United States of waging an undeclared war in the Caribbean and called for a UN probe of American strikes that have killed over a dozen alleged drug traffickers on boats in recent weeks. Washington has also deployed warships to international waters off Venezuela's coast, backed by F-35 fighters sent to Puerto Rico in what it calls an anti-drug operation. Venezuelan military forces drove armored vehicles and conducted weapons training for civilians in Caracas as tensions with the United States escalated over a US military buildup in the Caribbean and recent attacks on Venezuelan vessels. The US has accused Venezuela of harboring drug traffickers and imposed sanctions, while Maduro has repeatedly claimed Washington seeks his removal. Ahead of annual United Nations General Assembly session on Monday in New York, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is expected to announce the UK's recognition of a Palestinian state on Sunday. The move comes after Starmer in July said the UK would shift its position in September unless Israel met conditions, including agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza and committing to a long-term sustainable peace deal that delivers a two-state solution. The move has drawn fierce criticism from the Israeli government and hostage families. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously said such a move rewards terror. However, UK ministers argue there was a moral responsibility to act to keep the hope of a long-term peace deal alive. Many Western countries like France, the UK, Canada and Australia have announced that they will recognize the Palestinian state during the week of the 80th UN General Assembly session that begins on September 22nd. Most countries in the United Nations, 147 out of 193, already recognize a Palestinian state, which currently has observer status at the UN. Iran's top security body announced that action by Britain, France and Germany to reimpose UN sanctions will effectively suspend its cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. The announcement comes after Security Council voted on Friday to reimpose frozen UN sanctions after the European governments activated the snapback mechanism in a decade-old nuclear agreement, accusing Iran of non-compliance. The vote means that the sanctions, which were suspended in return for curbs on Iran's nuclear activities set out in a 2015 deal, will take renewed effect on September 28 unless Iran can persuade the Council to relent in the next week. Earlier this month, Iran and the IAEA reached an agreement in Cairo that would have allowed inspections of Iranian nuclear sites to resume. Iran had suspended them after Israel and the United States attacked its nuclear facilities in June. Ukraine's Air Force released video on Saturday claiming to show F-16 fighter jets and mobile defense units shooting down drones from the skies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia had unleashed a major drone and missile attack on Ukraine overnight, killing 3 people, injuring dozens more, and damaging infrastructure and residential buildings. According to the officials, air defenses shot down 552 of the drones and 31 missiles. Ukraine typically responds with drone strikes of its own, aiming to reach deeper into the Russian territory, hitting refineries, fuel depots, and logistics hubs. Meanwhile, President Zelensky on Saturday expects the United States to impose strong sanctions on Russia a day after the European Union presented its 19th sanctions package on Moscow.
This week brought us closer to finalizing the 19th sanctions package against Russian aggression. We expect its approval soon. We will quickly synchronize the package in Ukraine. Precious energy resources are being restricted. The infrastructure of the shadow fleet will face new pressure. Cryptocurrency schemes used by Russia to bypass sanctions will also be countered by Europe. I am grateful that many of Ukraine's proposals have been taken into account in the EU sanction package.
Typhoon Ragasa continued to intensify over the weekend in the Western Pacific, raising concerns that some communities in Southeast Asia could face a super typhoon over the next week. The cyclone, known in the Philippines as Nando, reached typhoon status on Saturday and was expected to reach the equivalent of Category 4 hurricane by the start of the work week. The worst of the weather was expected to stay south of Taiwan but clip of the northern Philippines. Typhoon Ragasa is also forecasted to bring severe weather to Hong Kong in offshore and highland areas on Wednesday. By the end of the upcoming work week, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center expects the system's final landfall to occur somewhere west of Hong Kong, and due to its slow forward movement, it may produce several feet of rainfall over countries such as Vietnam and Laos. Now, Bangladesh, which depends heavily on remittances from the Middle East, is slowly losing its footing there, raising worries about falling inflows and bigger risks ahead. After the fall of Hasina government in 2024, remittance inflows initially surged to record highs, but recent trends show the flow is shrinking, particularly from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman and Bahrain, reports United News of Bangladesh. According to the latest Bangladesh Bank data, remittances stood at $2.42 billion in August, down from $2.47 billion in July and $2.82 billion in June. And protests broke out between anti-migration protesters and Dutch police in The Hague on Saturday. Thousands of people had joined a protest organized by right-wing activists in demand of stricter migration policies and a clampdown on asylum seekers just over a month before a national election. A police car was set on fire and a group of protesters briefly blocked the highway near the site of the demonstration. A project to build a facility to store highly radioactive nuclear waste in the French countryside drew a protest by hundreds of people on Saturday, with police firing tear gas to break up rowdy demonstrators. The project, known as Industrial Center for Geological Disposal, is meant to build an underground storage center outside the northeastern village to bury the most dangerous waste from nuclear power plants and hold it for hundreds of thousands of years. People took to the street in Bure to protest the plan by the National Agency for Radioactive Waste Management. The CIGEO project, launched in 1991, has been contested for decades. Construction is currently expected to start in late 2027 or early 2028. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. International Day of Peace is observed every year on September 21. We'll tell you more about it. Stay tuned. And we'll also tell you about what's happening at Busan International Film Festival, Asia's largest film festival. And Satvik Chirag pair reaches final of China Masters 2025 badminton tournament. You're watching DD India Live. I am Prasar Bharati. A high-level delegation led by Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal will visit the United States on September 22nd to hold discussions on India-US trade deal. The delegation aims to advance ongoing trade negotiations and works towards the early conclusion of a mutually beneficial trade agreement between the two countries. The discussions are expected to be focused on strengthening bilateral trade, investment and economic cooperation across all sectors. During the last visit of the team of officials from the Office of United States Trade Representative to India on 16th of September, positive discussions were held on various aspects of the trade deal, and it was decided to intensify efforts in this regard. Empowering the youth of India has been a key priority of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. From overhauling the education policy to visionary reforms like Startup India, Skill India and opportunities in the creative economy, India's youth power is seen as a critical stakeholder in future of the nation.
India is driven by youth power. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recognized this untapped potential early and gave a new direction to the nation's youth. In the past 11 years, reforms and programs by the Modi government have empowered the youth at every level and in every sector. Skill India created new opportunities. Startup India gave new wings. National education policy expanded the horizon of learning, and Digital India ushered in global competitiveness. Education and skill development has witnessed revolutionary changes in India. National education policy has connected students to coding, AI, robotics, and out-of-the-box thinking. Skill India has imparted necessary skills to millions of youth and made them ready for jobs and self-employment. Over 1.6 crore youth have been trained in diverse skill sets. India's foray into the world of innovation and technology is today led by the dynamic startups. Indian youth is transitioning from being a job seeker to a job creator. There are over 150,000 startups in India today. These dynamic startups have created over 17 lakh jobs. Startup India has elevated India to the third largest startup ecosystem in the world.
We had been exploring drones much before, but the moment of clarity and conviction came in 2022, when our Prime Minister Modi ji spoke about his dream of making India the global drone hub by 2030. That inspiration gave birth to our company Drone Anatomy. We formally structured the company, raised investments and availed startup schemes, and began to scale with confidence. What truly enabled this journey was the ecosystem that had been built.
Phone, camera and internet have become the new tools of creativity and employment for the youth. Rise of orange economy or creative economy, where thousands of youngsters are gaining global recognition through YouTube, gaming and podcasting. Today, India is home to 2 to 2.5 million active digital creators. Special incubation centers have been created to promote digital talent in the AVGC sector. Platforms like Wave Summit connected India's digital talent to the world.
भारत सरकार द्वारा $1 अरब के
Government of India has introduced a $1 billion fund to help content creators with the right hardware, training and skill development so that content creators of today and future can take it up as a mainstream profession.
एक प्रोफेशन के रूप में देख पाएं.
Today, youth of India is playing an active role in nation building. They are equal stakeholders in its development journey. They have the tools, technology and the training to take India to its rightful place in the world.
India has signed a 15-year agreement with the International Seabed Authority, granting it exclusive rights to explore polymetallic sulfides in a 10,000 square kilometer block of the Carlsberg Ridge in the Indian Ocean. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced that with this, India becomes the first country in the world to hold 2 contracts with International Seabed Authority for PMS exploration, reaffirming its pioneering role in deep-sea resource exploration and its strategic presence in the Indian Ocean. India also becomes the first country to be designated as a pioneer investor. Deep Ocean Mission, launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, focuses on seabed mineral exploration, mining technology development, thus strengthening India's blue economy initiatives. International Day of Peace is observed every year on September 21, a day dedicated to strengthening the ideals of peace across nations. India, with its civilizational ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, has always played a leading role in the global quest for peace. On this International Day of Peace, India's message resonates with Mahatma Gandhi's timeless philosophy of non-violence, that peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice, compassion and humanity. Now it's time for some updates from Busan International Film Festival 2025. And India's creative economy is set to shine at Asia's prestigious Busan International Film Festival 2025 in South Korea. Showcasing its strongest ever lineup of films, India is also represented for the first time by a ministerial delegation led by MOS Dr. L. Murugan. At the Asian continents and film markets, the Bharat Pavilion was inaugurated on Saturday. Here's a special report from DD India's Jaya Sinha.
Right here in Busan, India is scripting history. For the first time, a ministerial delegation led by Dr. L. Murugan is representing the country at the Busan International Film Festival 2025. It's India's strongest ever showcase and a powerful statement of our growing creative economy on the global stage.
The Busan International Film Festival and the Asian Contents and Film Markets, Asia's biggest cinema platform. This year, India is making history with its first ever ministerial delegation. Led by Dr. L. Murugan, and the team is showcasing not just Indian cinema, but the entire spectrum of India's creative economy to the world.
So this is the first time when Bharat Pavilion has been set up in the Busan Film Festival. This is acknowledging the strong presence, ever strong presence of Indian filmmakers in Busan, which will become a place for networking hub for the filmmakers who have come from India and participating in this ACFM market or Busan Film Festival.
This year we have set up 2 Bharat Pavilion. One is at the Busan International Film Festival, and this is a separate one which is in the Asian Content Film Market, which provides the opportunity for our filmmakers to collaborate with the Korean and other international filmmakers for working together.
At the Asian Contents and Film Market, the Bharat Pavilion has been inaugurated with the theme India Creative Economy for the World. With global filmmakers converging in Busan, co-production opportunities with India are generating strong interest.
I think India is one of the global players in this industry since many years already very well established, but as a movie industry worldwide is changing very fast, so I think there is a need of more cooperation to develop new contents.
We can hear loud and clear that India is ready for international collaboration. Their presence here in Busan is absolutely validating that same strategy. We would like collaboration with India to flourish and grow. And we have been working with our partners at NFDC to stimulate that and to connect our filmmakers and see more production being done together.
इस बार तो हमारे इंडिया की इतनी सारी फिल्में हैं, तो मेरे को तो पवेलियन में आके ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं वापस इंडिया आ गया हूं, और मुझे इतनी खुशी हुई जब हम सारा अपने इंडिया के सब लोगों से मिलते हैं और इंडिया के पवेलियन में आते हैं, तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है। और इस बार इतनी सारी हमारी अच्छी डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज, शॉर्ट फिल्म्स और फिक्शन फिल्म्स बुसान में शो कर रही है। So it's a great feeling. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
10 of India's finest films are being showcased this year, including Neela Madhapanda's Spying Stars, Sanju Surendran's If on a Winter Night. At the Asian Project Markup, 5 Indian projects are part of the official co-production lineup, including Soni Razdan's Difficult Daughters.
India's presence at Busan is not just a festival participation. It's a celebration of India's soft power, cultural diplomacy, and its rising role as a hub of global creative partnerships. From Busan, this is Jayasana with camera person N.A. Shivakumar for DD India.
And the highly anticipated rematch between India and Pakistan in the Men's T20 Asia Cup 2025 is just around the corner. The Super Force clash will take place at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium on Sunday at 8 p.m. IST. Abhishek Mahajan reports from Dubai.
The iconic India-Pakistan rivalry is set to resume in the Super Force stage of the Asia Cup at the Dubai International Stadium on Sunday. However, much of the spotlight has been on events off the field, particularly involving match referee Andy Pycroft. But he will once again serve as the match referee in the India-Pakistan game. Despite the noise, Indian captain Surya Kumar Yadav reiterated that his teams remain fully focused on the game.
I feel our preparations have been really good leading into the tournament, and we had 3 good games also. So but we are actually focusing on what we can do best, and as I said on the toss as well, that we want to follow all the good habits which we've been doing in the last 2-3 games, and we'll take one game at a time.
He downplayed any suggestion that India holds an edge after beating Pakistan earlier in the tournament. The Indians were comfortable with experimenting in their final group stage game and came out victorious even as Oman ran them close with some positives in players getting game time out in the middle.
I think focus was always on the game in all the 3 games which we played. It was never changed from that, and I think everyone has got enough time in the middle with the ball, with the bat, going into Super Force, and I'm sure two other teams who are also coming from other group will also be pumped up, and we are also excited to play them.
While Pakistan have made it through to the Super Force, there are major causes for concern with their batting. They have failed to fire so far.
Alright, so it's a big one. Once again, India taking on Pakistan in the first match of the Super 4 encounter. Stakes are higher, pressure is greater, and another thriller is on the cards. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Dubai for DD India.
In badminton, India's men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty continued their consistent run to advance to the final of the China Masters Super 750 tournament. India's top doubles pair, Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty, outclassed second seeds Aaron Chia and So Wee Yik of Malaysia 21-17, 21-14 in just 41 minutes. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.